I'm gonna get this probably not 100% accurate, but basically 40% of people with PCOS will have type 2 diabetes by the time they're 40. And I'm gonna be 30 in June of 2025. So I'm like, okay, the habits that I establish right now will play into how that looks in 10 years. I had someone explain this example to me, similar to a car, when you're putting gas in your car. If you are not eating the proper things within your meal, if you're not having a balanced diet or you're not starting with a protein, it's basically like aiming the nozzle that has the gas that goes into your car, like at the ground. The nozzle is still doing its job, but it's not getting the gas where it needs to get to fuel the car. So in the same way, if you're not eating in a way that will counteract the insulin resistance, it's basically like just throwing all the nutrients in a place where it doesn't need to go in your body. And that was really eye-opening because there were so many times where I would eat really well. Like I'd eat good foods that were supposedly good to me, health benefiting me, and I would still feel like trash. Like I'd still feel so tired, I'd still feel so groggy, I'd still feel really bloated, and I couldn't figure out why. And I think that's a lot of the reason why I was feeling that way, is because the nozzle was not pointed in the right direction. All the fuel that was supposed to be going to my body was not going into my body. Another thing that's made a big difference is I used to drink a cup of coffee at the beginning of every day. And now I wait about an hour and a half after I've woken up to have a cup of coffee. Basically what starts to happen is your body starts to rely on the caffeine that you are implementing more than your body being able to help you wake up and stay awake. So that's why when people say like, oh, I need to have my coffee, I'm not awake yet. It's like, that's because your body has been so supplemented with caffeine that your body can't produce it as well. I'm not a doctor, you guys can look all this up, but these are things that have been changing about how I eat, what I eat, trying to kind of refocus as I get into the fall time. I'm gonna eat this up, and then I think I'm gonna go on a walk, so I'll catch you there. I'm gonna go try and take a walk. We'll see how my foot does. The other night I was at my friend's house, and I stayed there till like midnight, and she had a light on and everything. It was a fully lit pathway and steps. It was concrete, everything was level. But let me tell you, I took the first step with my left foot, totally fine. Took the second step with my right foot. I felt it land flat on the ground. And then somewhere between my foot landing flat on the ground and bringing my left foot around to come to the path, I fully rolled my entire body weight onto my ankle. I heard a pop, but it like didn't hurt right away. And I was totally fine. I got up. I felt like my pride was hurt more than my physical body. I walked to my car, I get in, I'm like, wow, this really isn't hurting that bad. Like I roll my ankle pretty badly or hit my foot at least once a year. So I kind of was expecting this big like swelling and pain and all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't feel anything. Like I feel really good. I was really lucky. And I get in the car and I'm driving home, and by the time I'm home, the whole top right side of my foot, it just ballooned up and it was so sore. And then yesterday I had all this like yard work to do, so I was like, I'm just gonna push through the pain. Like I'm still able to walk. It's not my actual, like my ankle doesn't hurt, and it's not the bottom of my foot. It's just right here. And I was kind of like, well, I can walk. I might as well get my stuff done. And I did okay. And I put magnesium lotion on my feet last night, which by the way, if you're not doing magnesium lotion, I have nothing to sell you. It's just a sleigh. But then I just sat there for 13 hours and didn't move. And I think the lack of movement has made it swell up a little bit more. So I'm gonna go try and walk. We'll see how far I get. I think I'm also gonna get a little coffee. I've said this 100 times, the end of summer, beginning of fall, I had no time to myself. And so I haven't enjoyed a lot of fall related things. My friend Ani took me a couple weeks ago and we did go to Starbucks and get a pumpkin drink, and then we went to Trader Joe's and got some snacks. So I'm grateful that I at least got to do that. And then last week I went to an apple orchard with my friend Elizabeth, and I'll have footage of that more so in a fall fashion video I'm gonna do in a couple of weeks. But other than those two things, I really have not enjoyed just the nature of fall. I feel like the usual stuff that I would do, the moments that I really take to appreciate the season, because fall is my favorite, I just haven't done. So I need to get out there. Even with a sore foot, maybe I'll walk like half a mile and just go enjoy the leaves, get a coffee, enjoy my time. And I guess we'll see how it goes. I made it out on my walk. I think I did a mile, and I hunkered down on this beautiful spot by the river. Fall is truly like the most beautiful time, and I feel like other people really enjoy other seasons, and I just can't get behind that. As I was saying back at the house, life's been busy. Life's been crazy. And being able to slow down and appreciate where you are in life and appreciate just a normal activity like taking a walk, I think that's the beauty of fall. And I was recently talking to a family friend, and she said something along the lines of, if the devil can't make you bad, he'll make you busy. And as I've gone through the season, I'm like, that is so true. There were moments in my life where I felt like I just would do things to be risky, or I'd do things to make a statement, or I would do things because I was ignorant of the outcome of those decisions. And now I'm at a season where I feel like I've gained a lot of wisdom, and I have a lot better like self-control than I did 5 years ago. And I talked about this a little bit in my positive aging video. I think there's a beauty with getting older, and there's a beauty with like the slowing down, not having something every single day, not being afraid of growing older, like seeking the wisdom in your life. And it's been so interesting because during those roughly 3 months that things were nonstop, I wasn't grateful. I wasn't thinking about like God's work in my everyday life. I wasn't able to see God working in situations. I would find that my prayers were a lot of like, do this for me, like asking, and not a lot of gratitude for the things that I already had. And in this last week, having really nothing to do because I said no to everybody, I have been such a better person. My prayers have started with gratitude and thankfulness, and I feel like I'm seeing God working in my life more clearly than I was even a week ago. And the biggest thing that I've noticed so far also is that I'm not doom scrolling. I remember being in those like stressful moments and just wanting to veg out, just wanting to kind of turn my mind off. But then I'd go on social media and I would scroll and scroll and scroll. And I remember in my head, I was like, I'm not even enjoying this. But it felt like the only thing I could do in that moment. Like there were easy things I could have done around the house, or easy things I could have done with editing and accomplished that way. But they just felt like such big projects because my mind was already working so hard. And it's so interesting when you just slow down. My friend Megan has been telling me this for years, but she's like, honestly, if you do slow living, like your whole life changes. And I feel like I've just seen the benefit of that in a week of living slower. I also noticed when I moved out with Bridget, and then now moving back into my parents' home, I do not have a healthy relationship with stress. When I lived in the house with Bridget down in Burnsville, I would feel so guilty for sitting and enjoying like a half an hour YouTube video. I would feel so guilty just like sitting and not accomplishing things. And now that I'm back at my parents, that's almost like ramped up. And I'm not blaming them. Like, I'm an adult, I make my own decisions, but my parents are very hard workers. But sometimes I feel like they also work themselves to the bone. And I've just found for myself that my relationship with stress is very guilt driven. And it's like, oh, if I don't get these 400 things done, then like I didn't do anything today. And I have a hard time just sitting and slowing down and enjoying life and just taking things slow and really taking in the moment. And so I'm really deciding that I want to get better at that. Going along with what I was just talking about too, I feel like social media stresses me out, and I've realized that like a lot of short form content is actually very stressful. I also have found when I am off social media, I feel better, and I've really been enjoying a long form social media situation much more than I was before. The final thing I wanted to talk about in this section of the video
is I feel like everyone starts their best self in the new year and they start over and fresh on January 1st. And I've always felt like October and fall time is more when I am more motivated to start over, to set a new intention for the upcoming year. And so I think I'm gonna like head home and really journal and take time to do that. And I want to talk about that a little bit more, like starting over at this time of year, feeling the ability to focus and slow down on something new and a new goal, and how that's so beneficial in the way that I'm going to do a restart and a refresh for this new year that I'm starting.
I was talking about this in my walk earlier, but I think I really need to treat right now when I'm feeling excited to like start something new and excited to keep consistent online and really inspired in life. I think it's time to set an intention and almost treat this time of year like in the new year. So I grabbed my dream journal, and I don't think I've ever talked about this online, but I am the type of person who I was raised in a very logical home, and if you don't have a full plan laid out in front of you of how you're going to succeed, it's not really encouraged to go forward, which you can imagine has been kind of tough as someone who logically was working a 9 to 5 and decided that she wanted to quit her 9 to 5 and be a content creator almost a year and a half ago. And so back in 2022, when I was in the middle of like the corporate grind and I was miserable, I created a dream journal, and my goal of this journal I wrote in the front of it: December 1st, 2022. This is my dream journal. It is only for dreaming. I could only write out ways to make my dreams happen. I cannot write out ways that my dreams aren't realistic. I cannot write out negative qualities of my current situation. I can only write out exciting things that could happen in my future. So this is a way that I will sit and I will write out different intentions. And I wanted to talk about intentions a little bit because I think there's a lot of people online who believe in like manifesting and things like that. I personally don't believe in that. I think that the Holy Spirit can manifest things for us. I guess how I go about doing an intention or a goal or something like that is I start by in prayer asking the Lord, like, what things do you want me to talk about? I start to pray for him to like open doors and make that stuff happen. Like, God, if you want me to continue doing content creation, I need you to bring me brands to work with. Lord, if you want me to do more storytelling, you need to bring me stories that I can capture and story tell in a video. Lord, if you want me to do more YouTube, you need to give me inspiration about what I'm going to put out online. And then I need to have a community online that's waiting to take that in and has been looking for someone to do something like that. So I guess that's how I go about it. I think a lot of like what I see with manifesting online is very much I just wrote down my goals. I did whatever it took to get to my goals, and then I gave myself all the credit. In my opinion and in my viewpoint, everything that I have that's coming to my heart and to my mind is from a creative God, and then I put it out and I write it down and I make it my new goals. My creative God, who put that on my heart and my mind, works to make that happen for me if it's aligned with like what he wants. I don't know, maybe there's like a deeper sense of like manifesting where people are like doing some crazy woo-woo stuff, but like I just think it's basically like goal oriented, and then I just pray. Like that's really what it is. But I was watching a video last night by Tess Barclays, and I will put the link down below. I think something I did wrong that I would love to save people a year and a half of questioning and wondering about is I really didn't study before I became a full-time creative. Like, I didn't study what other people were doing. I just thought I would save trends and like recreate them. People do this for travel, so like I'm gonna do that for travel. Other people do this for fashion content. I'm just gonna recreate it. And what I've really found is the stuff that I sit down and I process and I think about and I dream about and I pray over tends to be the things that do better online, because I've taken the time to actually make them unique and make them more aligned with who I am. And the other thing is I just wasn't like studying content strategists. Like I wasn't Tess Barclay, I don't know what her official title is, but all of her videos, they're kind of titled generically, like the 5 steps to becoming a content creator in 3 months or something, which I feel like I see a lot of those now. And I'm like, this was so vague. It was not helpful. She's actually really helpful. She lays a bunch of like points out and I'm going to go through those. And that's kind of how I'm going to, I guess, like set the intention or create a vision and goal for the next year of my life, since I'm treating this as like a new year. So that in order to create a vision for your brand, your vision for social media should feel scary, which I'm like, my vision for my life is terrifying. So good start. And the first question she put down is, what topic do you want to talk about? You know what else I'm like kind of afraid of? I didn't really say this in the manifesting intention section of this. Something else that worries me is I look at 2023 and I made really specific goals for myself and I achieved like 75% of them and did it well. And then this year in 2024, I really set no specific goals. I was like, it would just be nice if I did this or this. And none of those really got achieved, but all of these really interesting opportunities have come up that I wouldn't have even put on my goal sheet. So that's the other thing too. I just will say a huge part of that is, in my viewpoint, Christian viewpoint, letting the Holy Spirit move. If it doesn't align with your goal, it doesn't always mean it's wrong. But it's good to have some basic intentions and pillars in your life to work off of. I think I'm going to talk about what the questions are, and then I will come back and hopefully have some answers after I've thought about them. The first thing you're going to do if you want to create a vision for your brand is answer these questions. Number 1, what topic do you want to talk about? What's a topic that you could talk about forever with your eyes closed, half asleep? Number 2, who do you want to create for? And we go into this actually later, but I'll just say it now. There are 2 pillars that Tess talked about, the outer and the inner circle. And so when I'm thinking about who I want to create for, I really need to decide, yes, who a target audience is, because they probably will align with what you want to talk about. But I think being really specific, like for me personally, I'm going to be writing about how I'm going to be creating for probably people I don't know. And a lot of what I've created so far has been for people who know me really personally. And I feel like I need to do more of that outer circle pillar work. Right now, a lot of my following is people I know personally, and I want to create more for people who I don't know personally because I want to build community, and I already have community with the people that I know. Number 3, what are the people in your community interested in? So this is kind of building on like, what topic do you want to talk about? Who are you creating for? And then kind of a double check when you go to number 3, what you're talking about, what these people are interested in. That's how I viewed it, as kind of like a reflection point. Number 4 is, what problems do you want to help with? So like, what problems do you want to solve? Where do you feel like there is someone missing in the space that you're interested in creating for? And number 5, how will you do it like no one else can? We each individually bring something to the table. What will you bring to the table that other people can't? I think a really good example of this is April. What's April's last name? You've probably seen her content if you're into fashion as a woman. She does not have like the forearm thing on her left arm. She is a huge advocate for people who have like different disabilities, but yet she also really focuses heavily on fashion. So she kind of came into the fashion space like many other gals do, but then she brought something that she could speak on, which was trying to get dressed, trying to wear clothes, trying to be represented when you don't have fully functioning arm, or how does that work when you have an insecurity perhaps. Those are the points that she really touches on well, and that makes her content unique. Number 6 is kind of similar. How are you going to talk about it in a way that's unique to you? Same thing, like what can you bring to the table, and then what is the way that you'll speak about it to show that what you're saying is unique. Number 7, how do you want your audience to feel when they watch your content? So I actually wrote this down recently. I was at, I do like a part-time job, and I was sitting there at my part-time job and I was like, what do I want to feel when I watch a video? So kind of similar to what I was saying earlier on the walk, so many videos online right now, even like a long form YouTube video is like, oh my gosh, I have like 20 minutes to get ready and then I'm gonna go to this city and then I'm gonna go sit in traffic for 45 minutes and then I'm gonna get dinner with this person, then I'm gonna go do this class and then I'm gonna go do this thing. And it's just like a lot, and I just want to create content where people feel relaxed. We have enough of that, and I know how I want you guys to feel, and I know how I want to feel when I go watch a YouTube video. So I'm going to start by answering those questions, and then I think I'll come back and maybe talk about what my answers were. Okay, it's been like an hour since I started this, but this is what I have for the answers, and I'm just gonna like go through this and then talk about how I'm gonna come up with a mission statement regarding what I wrote. And I have 2.5 pages worth of answers, but I really want to be able to summarize it well. I'm gonna use like some AI in order to do that, but we'll get there in just a second. Number 1, what topic do you want to talk about? This was starting out just the 4 things that I felt that I could bring to the table and things that I also am pretty knowledgeable in. It was fashion. I put Jesus, but also like Christianity, PCOS, and business ownership. Number 2, what do you want to create for? For this, I went for the 2 pillars, the people that are in the inner circle, people who are in the outer circle, kind of like outreach, people who don't know me. I kind of divided it into people I know, people I don't know. For people I know, I wrote down what I think they would know me for, and I put fashion, Christianity, personal types of things. And then for people I don't know, I put that I wanted them to view me as a fashion stylist, an educator, but I wanted it to be like big sister vibes. I don't want it to be, I am Anna Wintour and I know everything about fashion. I just want it to be like, this is my take on fashion, or this is what I'm doing to make it a little more interesting. Different types of styling tips. I want to create content that is Christian focused, but I also want non-Christians to be able to relate to 80% of what I'm creating. So I put that number because I felt like there are just things that for me personally, growing up with a Christian perspective and then having, I never really say walked away from my faith, because faith was always there. There was seasons in my life where I just didn't trust God with those seasons. And then there have been seasons since I was about like 23 where a lot of it has been me walking with the Lord like daily and what that looks like. And so there are specific things that I think Christians will understand, but in a general sense, there are people who are believing in other religions or who are spiritual. They will relate to the things that I'm feeling because it's not just specifically of the church, but these are things that are kind of like spiritual discussions, religious things. And then there are people who don't believe in anything, and I want them to be able to relate to what I'm making and what I'm creating. I guess I just don't want any of my pages to be fully 100% about Christianity or faith or things like that. Not that it's not important, but just I want there to be a bigger audience who is intrigued with what I'm creating. I want to share my knowledge of what I've learned from having PCOS, and this includes like eating, sleeping patterns, caffeine and how that plays in, insulin resistance, periods, and then the final thing is I want to talk about owning a business, things I wish I'd known 1.5 years ago when I started this journey. So there are people who follow me and know me personally who are business owners, but they're not necessarily like watching my videos. So I want to talk to people who are trying to run a business and kind of start things, save them the time and the energy and like the mental load of things that I've learned. Number 3, what are the people in my community interested in? So for this one, I actually used ChatGPT to figure this out because it just would have been like a long time of sifting through things. Put in my name and like my handle, and I put what are Kaylee and O'Connor's followers, like what do they value? And it came out with empowerment, health, spirituality, and lifestyle content, which I thought was really interesting because things like travel, gardening, like self-sufficiency. I guess you could put PCOS under health, but there wasn't anything specific about PCOS. There wasn't even really anything specific about fashion. There's lifestyle, but spirituality was in there, which I kind of knew it would be, but there isn't actually anything that's like about business ownership. So those things were really eye-opening to me. And then I put in 6 other people that I really enjoy their content. I put in Lauren Giraldo, who's a YouTuber, Ava Gutowski, who used to do YouTube really heavily. Now she's more on like the fashion side. She's living in New York. Her boyfriend's a photographer. She's done a lot of like travel vlogs in the past. Ali Yost, she used to do a lot of like fashion and lifestyle content, and now she's moved more towards like the spiritual Christian type of content. Zayn Hijazi is really like the one-off in this whole thing, but I like love everything he puts out. And for his, there was a lot of emphasis on humor, friendship and community, creative content, lifestyle and adventure. Suzanne Hendricks used to do more fashion. She's moved towards family because she is married and has kids. And then again, Sabrina Carpenter is like a one-off, but she has similarities to some of these other people. I just really enjoy like anything she's putting out in terms of music, in terms of her content. I feel like she knows her following well. I feel like she's looking online to see what people are talking about, like the memes. She totally gets it. So I put in, what do Lauren Giraldo's followers value? What do Ava Gutowski's followers value? Like I put in each of their names and then I wrote out what it said for what it felt their followers valued. And then I compared that to mine because I'm like, okay, I resonate with these people as creators for very different reasons, but like what could I bring to the table that maybe I'm not? Or like what do we not have in common? The top things that everybody had in common was authenticity, empowerment, lifestyle content, health and wellness, body positivity, and fashion and beauty, which I was really surprised by. There wasn't more of the friendship and community, like family aspect, because I feel like I do a lot of that. There was only one person who had put travel for, and it wasn't me, which really surprised me, having done a ton of travel vlogs. There was nothing, as I said, about like gardening, very little about humor or spirituality or creativity. So that was an eye-opener of the people that I follow, who I like, and I'm part of their following. These are the things that they value, and that's not coming up on my list. And I feel like their following, there could be some overlap in one area or another. Like what are areas that I could step up in or do better with? Number 4, what problems do you want to help with? So I listed out some of these different subjects and then I went in more detailed on what things specifically I could talk about, what subsets are pertaining to me. For fashion, I put mid-size fashion. I put positive modesty because I have lived a lot of life as a curvy girl who is in the Christian community, feeling like the word modesty is used so negatively towards me. And so I want to have like a positive modesty. Like how do we honor the Lord but still have personal style? How do we honor the Lord but still be able to like visually draw people in? How do we do both of those things without feeling guilty about what we're wearing? For fashion, I also put personal style because I think it's really easy to look online and just start wearing what everybody else is wearing or buying the same products. And I think there's something really beautiful about having your own personal style and really making it work. With that personal style, I also put Midwest because you can go to places like LA and New York and you can dress however you want and you could show a bunch of skin and you're not like scandalizing people. You can wear really risque outfits or really out there eccentric things, and I feel like people kind of don't care. But in the Midwest, there's very much like a, why are you trying to stick out? Why are you trying to do your own thing? Like that's not appropriate. Kind of a stay in line attitude. And I just feel like for Midwest, I can do how to have your personal style and still live in the Midwest. I think that's something that's really easy that I could be doing. For Jesus and like faith, I put single and in my late 20s because although that's not directly related to like a Christianity subject, I think that is a rare viewpoint. I only know like 2 other people who are single and in their late 20s and in their 30s, like are not married and in church culture. And so I think that's just a really specific niche down opportunity that I can speak to because I'm living it. The other thing I wanted to talk about was like content creation and pop culture. So how do you make content that honors the Lord but is still relatable to other people? In the same way, I want to talk more about pop culture because I really love pop culture. I like staying up on like not necessarily the news of what's happening in the world, like political things like that. I like to stay on top of like what's happening in celebrities, like what's happening in fashion, what's happening online, what are the trends. I just don't know in person. Again, this is my focus to like outreach. I don't know many people in person who care about that stuff. So I'm looking for a community online who loves the Lord and is also interested in what's happening with like celebrities and content creation and pop culture things of that sort. And so I'd like to talk about that more because I know that there are Christians who are interested in those subjects, but it's kind of hard because I think a lot of people view, if you're interested in celebrity culture or something, they view it as like obsessive or evil or something like that. And I have lived a whole life where I am not like idolizing celebrities and still can find them fascinating and talk about certain subjects and trends and things like that. Honor God with my life. Like, you don't have to have one or the other. Sustainability is really easy. I think sustainability and sustainable fashion, which is something I feel like I'm known for, is such an easy connection to faith because we're called as Christians to be stewards of the earth. I think I could talk about that more. And then also talking about like healing PCOS, like my journey with PCOS, how my body started working again. And also just talking about what do we do when God doesn't heal us? Because like for 10 years, I just didn't have a natural period. I had to go to doctors. I was like trying to seek out how to help my body. I felt like I was doing everything, exhausting every effort. And like that is a journey that I've experienced that I can speak on, and I just really haven't. For the subject of PCOS, I put health and wellness, food, how to eat metabolically. I've gone through that whole phase of life, what I liked, what I didn't like. I'm talking about mental health because mental health is hard, period, but then when you are a girl who has like disordered hormones, and then being a girl who also went through like her hormones regulating and becoming more normal, I have experienced a lot of ups and downs with mental health because if you think about, if you're someone who has a regular period like every month and every one of those 4 weeks, you know what to expect. Like I went through weeks where I had no idea what to expect because I just hadn't had a normal adult cycle. There are a lot of things I've learned about PCOS and just like women's health and hormones that I feel like I wish I had known and I wasn't finding online. And then also like lifestyle. I'm someone who is really busy, and kind of how to balance your lifestyle for your health when you're busy and when you're living slowly. I think those would both be helpful to people watching. As I said, authenticity, empowerment, and lifestyle were 3 of the biggest factors that related to all of the different following groups. So for authenticity, I put standing out in fashion, filming in public without fear, wins and fails of running a business, how I have a healthy relationship with social media, things I'm excited for, things I'm scared of, things I'm thinking about in general. For empowerment, I put how to honor God with your skills, how to maintain mental health, how to live a healthy lifestyle with PCOS, how to dress as a mid-sized woman, how to create friendship and community, how to start a coffee shop in your house. I have posted about that multiple times, but I feel like people still don't know that I do a coffee shop in my home. How to travel on your own. And for that one, I think that's really important because I have traveled solo in another country. I talked about it more on this platform, but not on like short form social media as much. And then for lifestyle, I put Christian lifestyle, life as a business owner, and life as a traveler. For questions 5 and 6, I put them together. How will you do it like no one else can? And how are you going to talk about it in a way that's unique to you? I put this into 4 main groups. I basically took what I had down in number 4 and I summarized it in 5 and 6. I'm a fashion blogger in the Midwest. I'm a mid-sized woman with PCOS, starting my own business, running my own business on my own, and being a single Christian in your late 20s. I think those will be like my 4 like pillars of the stuff I'm creating. And then number 7, how do I want people to feel when they watch my content? I put cozy and slow living. I also put trust, authentic, and reliable. I feel like all those go together because when I'm watching the 6 people that I wrote down earlier in question number 3, I like trust their opinions. I think they're authentic in what they're presenting to me, and I think they are like reliable for their experience and what they're saying, because a lot of them have really interesting like life stories and backgrounds, and I just feel like what they're bringing to the table is really unique. And the last thing I put for how I want people to feel when they're watching my content is I want them to feel creative and inspired. I think so many times I watch a YouTube video and I'm like, okay, like I didn't really learn anything. There wasn't like a lot of substance to it. So I want people to leave being like, wait, I can do that too. Like when you're leaving this video, I want you to sit and write down these 7 things and just think about like what type of content you want to put online. That's your homework for this one. So now I want to go into ChatGPT and I want to put in all the things that I wrote down in number 4 and have it summarize it into a mission statement for me. So let me see what it does. If it's like successful, if anything, it'll just give me a starting point to bounce off of. Create a 2-sentence mission statement that summarizes all of these subjects into one. Okay, so this is how it summarized it. It did 2 sentences, but they're very long, which I understand. So we're gonna break this down even more. Empowering others to embrace a positive and modest personal style. I create content that blends Midwest living, health, and wellness, while navigating the joys and challenges of being a late 20s business owner and traveler. Through authentic storytelling and community building, I aim to honor God with my skills, promote sustainability, and foster healthy relationships with social media, all while sharing my journey with PCOS and the importance of mental well-being. That was like pretty good. So I'm going to take a screenshot of that real quick. And then what I'm going to do also is have it summarize just the 4 pillars to see if it could even bring it down more for me. Okay, this one's interesting. As a mid-sized fashion blogger in the Midwest navigating PCOS, I inspire and empower fellow single Christians in their late 20s through my journey of building a business, celebrating personal style, and fostering a community of faith and resilience. It's the resilience for me. So I'm going to take those now, and I think I'm going to create like a vision and mission statement, and that'll be what I focus on going forward as I'm kind of like refocusing on the things that I want to create. Sometimes I can get so in my own head about that stuff, and it's been such a blessing to be able to use AI to help me. This is what I have. Authentic storytelling that builds community, honors God, promotes sustainability and personal style, and shares the importance of health and wellness. So I have it down to that summary, but I'm going to work on it more. Just right now I need to go finish doing laundry and eating dinner and doing normal human things. So with what I wrote in my dream journal, I hope that's a great start. I think I'm going to go forward as I'm planning for November and maybe take some of these ideas and create really specific goals for that month. Maybe do like a vision board. And then when I do my monthly recap at the end of November, that vision board will be the cover photo, and then the carousel will be all the things that were accomplished that were goals for my month. I hope that this has really helped you, because even if you're not someone who like runs a business or does content creation, like we're all humans who have goals. And I feel like our goals are more like tangible and attainable because they're not just these big, vague ideas. They're really specific. So with all that, happy fall. I hope that you guys are all celebrating and enjoying for those of you who are in the fall season, and I'll see you in the next video.